strategy. So today is the Q&A. So I invite you and I challenge you to ask your best questions. What do you most want to know about the Genius, whether it be features or how to do something, and we'll do our best to answer as many questions as possible. Today is the Q&A. Perfect. Okay, so that is live streaming. Well, let's go ahead and get into this presentation. All right, we're somewhere here. Let's go here and here. There we go. All right, today is, it's the end of June. So thank you so much for beginning your week with us. And let's go ahead and see what's coming up in the Genius community. We're working to really bridge across many different technologies these days and different types of broadcasters. We recently brought in the toroidal coil, which you may have seen. We'll be getting more of those and showing those. Those who ordered the coil, just be patient. They're being shipped, and we're going to get them out to you very, very soon. So some of you have yours. We're going to talk about more about that Taurus coil soon. Also, we have a podcast which goes live. It live streams on Thursdays at 4:00 p.m. Last week, we talked about the Oberon system. We'll actually be talking more about the Oberon biofeedback system and how it can be utilized with the Genius in a really amazing way. But this week, we're going to be talking to Karen Reifinger. She practices in New York, and she's an amazingly talented practitioner. We're going to be talking to her about how she uses her Genius with other technologies like the energy enhancement system. So if the energy enhancement system is something that you've seen and been curious about, a lot of people think it's new. It's not a new system. It's been utilized for more than 13 years, but Karen has been using it in her practice for 13 years. So we're going to hear from her and talk with her all about how she utilizes it. And she actually told me when we planned to have her on the podcast that she can't use her energy enhancement system, which is a $28,000 system. She cannot actually, it's not complete without the Genius. And the Genius, she finds she needs to also have her energy enhancement system to work to make it complete. So we may find that the Genius is something that can be utilized in combination with other technologies, and there's nothing wrong with that. All right, remember that your brain is a scalar broadcasting system. If you've ever wanted to make your thoughts into manifestations, but you find that you're a little blocked in making that happen, then just a couple of adjustments we need to make here. Then go ahead and join us for the Science of Manifestation class. And let's just go ahead and just have to do one thing here. So the science, I have to make a little adjustment. The Science of Manifestation class is actually in process right now, and you can join us this Thursday. I know you can't see the screen at this moment. You only see part of it, but just give me one moment to make an adjustment here so we won't be interrupted during our class. So the Science of Manifestation helps to give you skills and exercises to make your thoughts into actual things that you want, and it goes through specific processes to help you to do that. And those of you who are in the course now, I will be getting in touch with you, and I'll be working with some of you individually on the Affirmational Magic or Science of Manifestation class. So you can still join us for that, and we certainly would welcome you into that class if you'd like to join. It happens on Thursdays, and it's running for 4 more Thursdays. So if you want to have all the money that you want to have all of the love and happy relationships that you want to have the perfect home, the perfect career, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You need to grasp how you utilize frequency, sound, your voice, the written word. All of those things come together in a specific process called the Science of Manifestation. So there's still time to join us for that. We're going to be back on Thursday at 12 o'clock. And you can just go to geniusbiofeedback.com, look for the course Affirmational Magic, and hope you will join us for that. All right. So we also want to talk about the 4th of July. 4th of July specials will be posted for people who are thinking about getting the Genius by this Wednesday. So if you're an affiliate and you want to encourage people to get the Genius, we're going to be having some special library bonuses, which we'll announce soon. So there'll be library bonuses, different library bonuses for every package that I think people will love. Some of them will be things like the vitality codes and body repair codes, but there are some new ones that we're going to be adding. And then we're also going to be having a recipe book. So it's going to be a series of processes. So how do I do this with the Genius? So it's going to be at least 20 processes, at least more. They'll get that ebook when they purchase, and they'll also get tools to help them start their business, some brochures and other support tools to help them to be successful if they want to launch a Genius business. So be aware that those will be posted by Wednesday in case people are thinking about the 4th of July and would like to get those special packages. Now, each and every week we say, how do we talk about the Genius? And by the way, if you're just joining us, you may want to repost the functional zones into the chat so people can see those functional zones. Also, today is a day for Q&A. So if you're listening to my voice right now and it's like, gosh, if I could only ask this question, please put that in the chat. And it's going to be a sort of a marathon of your questions for today. And as sort of in between the questions, I will be going through some of the features like the neuro remedy, the functional zones, and some other lesser known features of the Genius. So the Genius tests your energy, where you are in space and time, what your vitamins, minerals, emotional blocks, things like that, energetically. And it does it through our voice engine. And the voice engine was originally developed at MIT. And then the developer took that MIT voice engine and then sort of fitted it in a certain way that would be appropriate for biofeedback testing. So it is a wonderful voice engine, and he continues to work on it and work on it and work on it so that it picks up more and more significant information in the process of saying that statement in the beginning that we're finding out now, and even medical research is telling us that your voice may be as significant as your taking some blood or taking other testing or doing some other testing that might be more invasive. And if you go back to the ancient, Chinese medicine, we'll look at your tongue, your pulse, and just how you are doing in general, sort of an exterior sort of assessment of who you are, maybe things in your face and things like that. And it also will listen to your voice. So Chinese medicine traditionally did listen to the voice for different hints and cues about whether that person was deficient or something was in excess. All right, so you could also tell people, so this is the time, during this time of the class, we help you to explain the Genius to other people. So you could also say that the Genius is like 100 or more muscle tests at one time. So many people know what muscle testing is. You get muscle tested to see if you resonate with a certain supplement or if something's out of balance. And so you can think about the Genius as an energetic test, like a muscle test, but it's multiplied many, many times. So the Genius gives you 100 muscle tests or more, and much, much more than that. So it's just quick information that you can use right away to improve your life. And then something that's on everybody's mind today with the different stresses of our economy is saving money. So, when you talk about the Genius, you can tell them whether you're a practitioner and you test people for their supplements, or they want to get the Genius and they can test themselves, is that you can save money by streamlining your supplements. And that's really true. People read articles all day long about this supplement, CoQ10 can do this for you, alpha lipoic acid can do this, vitamin D can do this. And so they buy all of those supplements thinking that they need them all at that moment. So the Genius helps you to streamline it. You could test yourself for your red or blue supplement, top red or low blue supplement for the day. You could also utilize synergistics to check on a particular dosage of how much you might need. And so really only take the supplements that you need today, the ones that you're testing energetically for. Even if you have a whole bunch of supplements, then create a library for them and test the one that is most needed today rather than taking all of them. When you take supplements that you don't need, you put a burden on the body. So we don't want to do that. We want to save money and just take the ones that our body needs for today. All right, like I said, today is a Q&A. So we're going to go through your chat and Q&A messages, and we're going to talk about features of the Genius. To do this, it would be great to have a volunteer. So if you'd like to receive some frequencies, just knowing that we're going to be talking about the Genius, then go ahead and volunteer here, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so if anybody wants to volunteer, otherwise I can just show the Genius. So we'll just wait a moment here to see if anybody wants to volunteer. So Shauna and Barbara got right in, and what we want to do here is maybe somebody who's never had a scan before, and if somebody wants to volunteer, what we need to do is we need your date of birth. So if you're volunteering, make sure you put your date of birth into the chat area so that I can select someone, and also make sure that you have if you have your camera and microphone. And if you only want us to do the microphone, that's fine. If you can be with us on camera, then it makes a more dynamic session, but it's completely up to you. So don't worry, we're going to read back for questions, so that's not a problem, but I do need anyone who wants to volunteer. So let's go ahead and let's work with, is it Shauna or Shauna? I know you mostly speak French, so I hope this will work, but please just let me know how you say your name. So I'm going to invite you up here to be with us on the call here. So if you can adjust your microphone, and you're going to see yourself come up as a panelist here. And if you want to join us there, and we got your date of birth, and we will go from there. So we'll start by getting her information into the Genius. All right.
Hello.
How are you
Sorry,
today?
hi.
No, you're
my
totally
hair
fine.
just washed, so not dry.
Okay.
No
So how do you say your first name?
Shana.
Shauna. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. And French is your first language?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So I appreciate your courage in volunteering for today.
Thank you.
So what have you been able to accomplish so far with the Genius? Has there been anything that you've been able to test or utilize it for?
So, so far, I just stuck with the technical issues, but that's difficult for me because I had the library. Library was on the library section, and I made for sure a wrong manipulation, and the library is on my file, my personal file, which one I treat myself, and not able to put that library in its place. So it's like I'm not very comfortable for that, and just also the way that we always have to refresh, because I lose all and I have to refresh to get back client. So far,
that shouldn't happen. Are you logging out of your Genius?
I'm logging out and I'm logging in.
Okay, you don't ever need to. You shouldn't actually be logging out of the Genius. You should just have it on your device. So do not log out. If you log out, then when you log in, you will have to refresh your database. Your Genius just sit as it is on your device. There's no security risk or anything to staying logged in. Does that make sense?
Okay, I didn't know that. No, so it's a step further for me.
Oh no, I'm glad that you
very
came
slow
on today
with that, but
now, is there anything in particular that you're trying to accomplish for yourself with the Genius that we should pay attention to today?
Yes, I had a very severe, accurate lumbar pain because I took off the plants in the garden, took off a lot and trained too much, and I have a weakened lumbar situation, and oh yes, someone, Sophie, is there to help me in French. That's wonderful. And thank you, Sophie. And I was not able to move yesterday. It was so painful, crazy, not able to go in my bath and take Epsom salt and bicarbonate, sodium, soda, I don't know, bath was very, very difficult. This morning, I'm better. I did some Qigong exercises, and but I'm still limit. So would like to explore the muscle situation that I did with the library. I explored that, and also I have a past of cancer, breast cancer.
Okay, and we only have
a lot of things.
This is going to be done in 40 minutes, so that's good though. I appreciate you letting us know, and we will work and focus on back issues. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Good.
All right. So let's go ahead and record your voice. To record your voice, you say your name and AEIOU. You're absolutely welcome to say that in your native language. You can say it in any language. So let's go ahead and count you down. I will start recording in 3, 2, 1. I'm recording.
Okay, Shana, A-E-I-O-U. Shana, A-E-I-O-U. Shana, A-E-I-O-U. Shana, A-E-I-O-U.
Perfect. That was great. That was wonderful. All right. So what we're going to do is we've got the voice being analyzed, and then we're going to grab your picture. So we're going to go ahead and utilize the Genius. And of course, it's wonderful. So quick smile from you. Wonderful. And it's really nice that we can utilize the Genius absolutely from anywhere and be able to work with people all over the world. So that is a wonderful thing. And where are you joining us from today?
Today I'm in British Columbia, Kelowna.
Oh, very good. Okay, wonderful. That's great. Okay, well, I am going to let you just relax, sit back, and enjoy this. So what we're going to do is we're going to check back with you in just a little bit. Is that okay?
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much. All right. Now, as we go through the information for Shauna, we're going to also be utilizing the Success Desk reference cards. So these are really helpful when learning the Genius. And then we'll be looking at some of the basic features of the Genius. So whether you're new or you've been with us for many years, it's always fun to go back and look at some of these lesser known features of the Genius, including one that people have a lot of questions on, which is the functional zones. All right. So as we start with any client, we always start with our aura. So we're going to look at the aura. And as we talked about in the Science of Manifestation class, we talked about a book that was written in the early part of the 20th century called Thought Forms. And I believe that book is in the public domain, or you can find it on a Kindle. It can be, you can listen to it on YouTube. That book, Thought Forms, is very interesting because I believe what this gentleman did is he figured out a way. Actually, he's a French gentleman and he was from Paris. So total synchronicity here. So this gentleman figured out how to create a device, a testing device, where he would think something and then he would be able to visualize it on a piece of paper. So there are different colors and shapes. And when he would think something, he would get a certain shape. So it's a fascinating read to learn about. But I believe that those thought form information has also, because it was written about 1905, has also informed some of our understanding about the chakras. So I think even within the Genius, we can look at some of that thought form information. I'm going to summarize it for everyone in a guide so people can learn from what they discovered about when people were thinking something, they would see this particular color or shape. And because I believe that these thought forms are also related to what we're seeing on the aura. So if you're thinking very high thoughts, very, love for other people, then you would see sort of this pink and purple. So that sort of adds a dimension to our understanding of what we're seeing on the aura picture. So we're seeing this wonderful purple, very bright, vibrant. The brightness and vibrant is a sign of a healthy, vital force. So especially when you're starting off with it, although she's probably been running some genius frequencies for herself. So we also do see the cloudiness here. So the general cloudiness is maybe that's her lumbar pain. It's some type of stagnation. It's something that's asking to be cleared. We also see all of the sort of green yellow energy that would be solar plexus / heart, might also be some digestive issues that need to be cleared. All right. And so heart could also be heart issues, although it could also be love, letting love in, and also represent healing energy. Let's take a screenshot out of it so we can come back and look at it. And remember, you can also email this to yourself or to a client. So if you wanted to email it, you could put in the subject line, it's the before aura scan, send it to yourself, and then you could share it. You could send it directly to a client, especially if you do a sample session for someone. Once you send them the aura, you have their email. So you have their email address if you ask for it to send them the before and after aura. Okay, so then we go through a series, which is called our basic process number 1. Now, those basic processes will be included in that wonderful bonus for people for 4th of July special, so that they can learn some recipes and some how to get things accomplished right away. And so the first thing we do is we go through, in the body section, we go through today's stress. Today's stress is showing right here. Even though it's yellow, we still look at it. It says lymphatic and liver. So lymphatic, drink more water, do skin brushing. Oh, cardiovascular, we just mentioned the heart. Isn't that amazing? So liver and lymphatic. Then let's go now to body systems. Remember, you don't need to be a doctor, a holistic practitioner to just include your reds and blues, but look at the echoing going on here. Circulatory and cardiovascular. Now, it doesn't mean anything pathological. It could mean, hey, we need to maybe do some more walking. We need to do some running. Maybe we need to get more conditioning of the heart. So if we don't know of anything going on with the heart in particular, it's really informing that we want to take further steps to have a more healthy lifestyle around the circulatory system and heart. And then it tells us the immune system. We could also include the nervous system and then the skin. So we go, today's stress, body systems, organs, and something, so balancing the bladder. We can also see the eyes, the stomach, the gallbladder, the spleen. These are all things that are asking to be tuned up, asking energy to be sent to them. The reason we're including them is because they're below the number 200. Then we're going to go to glands. So let's see what's happening with the glands of the body. These are part of the body's endocrine system. The pituitary, that is going to be your master gland. That's going to run all of your hormones, things like your adrenal, your thyroid, your reproductive hormones. Your pineal gland, which is related to releasing melatonin for a healthy and deep sleep. So if somebody comes up with a red or blue for their pineal gland, you would often want to say like, hey, how's your sleep going? You know, and it's very likely they're not getting into as deep a state of sleep as they could. Hypothalamus, okay, so that's part of the endocrine system, and the hypothalamus actually tells the pituitary what to do. So the HPA axis, the hypopituitary thalamic, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the HPA axis, is something that deteriorates or often does not work as well as we age. So that's certainly being indicated here. And what do we want to do? There's always a solution. We can always do something. So we want to harmonize it. We want to give energy to it. So from there, we go to digestion. We always want to consider digestion, because when we have any particular condition, we can actually improve the digestion by so we can improve the condition by cleaning up the digestion, cleaning up the gut. That reduces inflammation, improves the immune system, helps the person to absorb their nutrients better. So we see gallbladder and stomach. Now, she did mention spinal energy. So let's go ahead and look at it. She mentioned the lumbars. So let's go ahead and just look at it going down the spine. So we see L1 and, and maybe L3. Because we can look at it in sort of a stacked physiological order. Your spine, your spinal column goes from that part of the neck right below the occiput all the way down right to the coccyx. And you can see it starts with the cervical spine, which is in order shown here. Then it goes to the thoracic spine. Then it goes to the lumbar spine. So it's cervical, thoracic, lumbar. Okay, so as we look at this, what we want to see is where are the weaknesses. And then it's much easier if we tap high to low and we see the top red is C7, C1, and T4. Now the spine is a little tricky because maybe somebody tells you that they have a lumbar issue, but you notice that their cervicals seem really imbalanced. So the body is amazing. It's always trying to find balance and homeostasis. So if your lumbar is out, guess what? Your cervical neck comes in to compensate, right? To keep you well balanced and upright and so forth. So you often, with lumbar stress, eventually you're probably going to get some cervical stress or maybe some stress in another part of the spine. So as we look at the spinal energy guide, and this can be really, really helpful, let's just look at C7. C7 is related to the thyroid gland, related to the upper respiratory system. And it's the emotional connection is thinking that you're helpless. So imagining now that you're completely got everything that you need. Let's look at C1. C1 is related to the pituitary gland. So that's interesting, right? Because that matches what we saw in the gland section. TH4 is related to the gallbladder. So you see in biofeedback, when you start to make these connections, it's fascinating because you see things that echo everywhere. Now, the only one that's in blue from the lumbar spine, or in red for that matter, is actually L1. So let's look at L1, and it's related to the large intestine. So that's interesting. And it's related, the emotional connection is insecurity. So looking to have more security. And then we see these other thoracics coming up here. And let's quickly look at thoracic number 9. Thoracic number 9 is related to the adrenal glands, feeling a victim to life circumstances. So just understanding that you're not a victim. You are the creator of your own reality. You make yourself sick, but you also make yourself well. The most amazing thing. So I think the only thing we didn't look at here was flower essences, which is included in basic process number 1. So let's go ahead and include those now. We'll talk about them more when we get to progressive insights. Okay, so now we want to sort of pause here since we did this initial testing, and let's get to some of your questions. So Malika asks, remind us how to build the solfeggios into one. So there's a couple of ways to do that. So we're going to sort of we're going to weave these questions into the scan itself. So if you're working with someone, what you could do is, let's actually just for now, let's go to progressive insights and see what the top issue is here. Mustard. So mustard is feeling like you have a dark cloud overhead and really want to clear that cloud and move back into a place of hopefulness and feeling optimism. So let's go ahead and just turn the sound down there so it's not interrupting the flow or the sound that we're talking here. So mustard, let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, deep gloom for no reason, just feeling like there's a dark cloud overhead, and you want to clear that, have faith that the universe is taking care of everything, moving you in a positive direction. But what we're going to do here is after we do our initial minute of balancing, we're going to sort of create sort of an alternating balancing by going to the solfeggios, and I'll show you a couple ways to do that. Marlene says, I'm unable to share auras. What you want to do, Marlene, I can see your whole explanation here. In our sessions, when we talk about things, we don't necessarily want to talk about sort of technical issues that are related to one singular person. And I don't have this issue that you're describing system-wide. So the best thing is to send us an email, ariel@geniusbiofeedback.com. Okay, so first of all, we balanced for a minute. We got 20% rectification. So let's alternate this with giving her all the energies of all the solfeggios. So all the solfeggios together create an amazing harmonic that is very, very powerful, because solfeggios alone are music as medicine, but all together, especially in harmony, is exponentially powerful. So let's go ahead and we're going to grab all the reds, all the yellows, all the greens, and all the blues. Now, in the next update, which we still don't have an issue date, I'm doing it in the wrong tray. We want to do it in the quick zap, and you can see all of the ones being added there, 7 items, and then blue. Now we have 9 items. And so the developer has, there's been delays with the update because of language using new information in French and Italian. They're updating that. So that's led to a delay. But when it comes out, when you drag the information, like when you drag solfeggios, let's look at it now. When you drag solfeggios, let's see where they are here. Right here, it will actually drag all of the items within the solfeggio tones into the tray. So you will actually no longer need to do this. But that being said, we dragged all of the solfeggios into the tray, and now we could play it for a minute. Okay, so Marlene, if you sent an email, I don't know, maybe you sent it while you did that, while you're describing it here, but good to know. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm glad you also sent an email. That's wonderful. So let's get to some of your questions. I'm going to go way back here, right in the beginning of our chat. And is the podcast available on Apple or Spotify? It sure is. So look for the Frequency of 528 podcast. And Stephen, if you're having trouble finding it, please let me know, because we did upload the episodes to Apple and Spotify. We want to make sure that they're findable. So if they're not, please let us know. You can also go to geniusbiofeedback.com and go to the events page, and you can join us for the live stream of the podcast. We live stream it to my YouTube channel, and we live stream it in the Zoom. You can even join the Zoom and ask questions with us live. So we've got about a minute of the solfeggios, and let's see what the rectification percentage is. And okay, so it says we responded. She really liked those solfeggios. So with 1 minute of balancing and then 1 minute of solfeggios, let's see what the effect was on the aura. She loved the solfeggios. They really resonated with her. Okay, when I do a high or low, can the libraries don't appear? When I do a high or a low, can the libraries don't appear? I'm not really sure what that is. Do you mean they don't appear in system overview, Keith? Let me know. We missed maybe a word in that question. Okay, so that's interesting. So now what we're getting is the purple did move out, and it tells me that she's trying to work more at the physical level. And we've got a lot of digestive distress showing up in here, but I think getting ready to be cleared. It's almost sort of clearing and cleansing that solar chakra, and everything solar chakra is all like digestion. So we're going to let's take another picture of that, and then let's go back and let's now go to some of the custom libraries for her and look at some different things while we're answering another question here. So let's keep moving with your questions. And all right, let's keep going. Okay, Adina says, I've been using this with my mother-in-law, and it's amazing how it's working after 2 heart attacks, about her genius in general. Thank you, Adina. I love your questions and your participation. I sent my question at the beginning of the session. So Audra, I don't see your question. Was it before? Wait, let me see if I missed one. All right. Okay, so Audra says, I've watched the Quantum Capsule videos, but would benefit from a quick walkthrough. We're going to do that. Okay, we really do. All those videos do have walkthroughs, Audra, but we also have a longer form class. So if you look on my YouTube, we've done at least 2 longer form classes about the Quantum Capsule. However, we are going to do that in the future. So we are going to do that maybe about 2 weeks out. Next week, for this class, I meant to put on the slides, we're going to do a remedy plate class. So next week, I'm going to talk about both of the remedy plates. We actually have them both live here somewhere. I thought it was on my desk. So both of the remedy plates to show you, and more, the toroidal broadcaster. So next week, Monday, will be all things remedy plate. So mark it on your calendar and join us then. And then we'll do a separate Quantum Capsule class where we'll also offer a special to replenish your capsule supply. So we'll do that coming up soon, and we'll update you on that date. Should be about a couple of weeks out. So somewhere in mid to late July. All right. So let me keep rolling here. So Audra, I did find your question. Thank goodness. And let's continue to see more of your questions. All right. So, and Karen, thank you for adding the links to the YouTube chat. That's very kind and gracious of you. And all right. So notice the picture through the Genius app is fuzzy compared to an iPad selfie. Is that a bug or a feature? I don't know the answer to that. All right, so let's see. What is the name of the book? Also, the Silva method is amazing. Thank you, Blanca. We hope you get your Genius system very, very soon. Somebody wrote the information about the thought forms. So thank you so much, Darren, for doing that. All right. Okay. And so Blanca tells us her C1 and our pituitary are out of balance. Thank you so much, Blanca. Actually, your C1, when that's out of balance, that's often related to food allergies. So you guys, we need some really good juicy questions. So let's get some good questions, maybe not personal observations or technical questions about the Genius. Let's get some good juicy questions. I'll actually just go through some things as well. So it's funny, hurricane harmonization came up as the #1 issue for her. And, you know, when things come up like animals or weather or feline, there's often a message in there. I would take the message of biofeedback and I would not discard it out of hand, although you can completely also skip the library as well. So hurricane, tread lightly. So this is messages from a particular hurricane. Sometimes we test the weather, but this could apply to a person. Tread lightly, release fear. The violet flame purifies the area, could purify your body. If you want to look at a great way to sort of adjunct something with the Genius, go to YouTube and look up Saint Germain, the keeper of the violet flame, and especially the one that Patricia Cota-Robles did, the prayer of cleansing yourself with the violet flame. It's so powerful and wonderful. It's incredibly effective to cleanse your energy field, to help you to feel in present moment. It would remove any anxiety, fear, really gives you this warm, uplifted feeling. Please forgive me. Anxiety about a hurricane is reduced. So that isn't necessarily going on for you about the hurricane, but it could easily relate to internal emotions, you know, as above, so below. And so things that are in the collective weather system can also be things within us. I'm not saying that there has to be a hurricane even to have that happen. So release rage, dissipation, move lightly for the highest good of all. Release fear of manifesting. So that's really interesting that it came up for her. We don't have to reject it out of hand. Let's see. She mentioned things about the spine, mentioned things about her back. Let's just go ahead to breakthrough to success and look for some affirmations for her. With every breath, I breathe in light to every cell. With every breath, I breathe out toxins. I accept the highest and most vital experience of health in my body the cosmic law will allow at this time. I am now thinking with super intelligence. So, you know, often when we get sick, we learn so much about ourselves and we learn so much about health, and it can often ricochet us from very, very sick to a place of really desiring to be very, very healthy and learn all about health and how to get there and how to stay there. I'm now connected with my inner knowledge on every level, and I allow a brilliant force of creativity to come through. I now allow the big breakthrough, and it's glorious, and I accept it on every level. Well, it sounds like you have some big desires to move through things and to really experience deep levels of freedom and a high level of health. What happens when I look more like the initial aura after running the Genius than after running the Genius? We've talked about this in different classes, that when you're running the Genius, you go through peaks and valleys. So as you run some frequencies, you may notice all the purple and the bright blue. If you continue into a longer session, it will inevitably take you sort of back down into maybe some grays or blacks. It's really because you're working through deeper layers. Working in biofeedback is like peeling an onion. You get through one layer and it's, wow, now you get to go to a deeper layer. So that could definitely explain it. Could you review the synergistics? Okay, let's go ahead and let's review the synergistics. So when we go to synergistics is located in the extra modules. So we would find the menu, which is at the top right, called the navigation bar, and then we would go to the extra modules. Within the extra modules, we have 3 extra modules. The ones we're going to talk about, one we're going to talk about right now is synergistics. Synergistics is a way to test your resonance against something in particular. It could be a supplement, it could be an action, it could be going on vacation somewhere, it could be a person, whatever it is that you want to sort of test your energy against. So let's see, in this case, it could be, let's see, supplement with fulvic acid to help mineralize the spine. I'm just sort of spitballing that. It's just an idea that the bones of the spine could be remineralized. People have said they take fulvic or humic acid and it actually helps their teeth, and their whole tooth health is improved. Let's just go ahead and look at that and see how that is resonating for her. Is that something that has a big response? Let's go ahead and look at it. And so it has sort of a mediocre response. It's not really resonating very high. It might be maybe her kidneys can't handle fulvic acid, or it just doesn't resonate with her. So let's try another one. I like to back out completely out of synergistics and go back in and then supplement. Let's do something completely different. Supplement with nascent iodine for overall immune health. So almost all over your body have iodine receptors, and it's actually a big part of your immune system, as well as helping your thyroid and helping breast tissue. One of our members of our Genius community would test herself and see if some things were coming up for her. And she was a survivor of breast cancer, and that would give her, she would test iodine, would give her an idea. She would actually take drops of Lugol's iodine and put on breast tissue. And as well as you can actually put it right in the palm of your hand, or you can apply it to the skin, and you could take things like nascent iodine or sea vegetables internally. We have a product on the website called Dr. C7. That's been a really popular product with people. Whenever I think my thyroid might not be perfectly on point, then I'll take some of the Dr. C7. It's a good daily or, every other day supplement. So this really resonated. Now you can see the difference between the circles, which were not very well closed, and these. Now the mind, I almost don't even take into account the mind, because the mind will always be skeptical and will say, well, I don't think I really need that. Who knows? So I almost just put the mind and I just look at the other three. So that's what synergistics does. Can you provide a brief explanation how to analyze the aura? That's going to take much longer. So we'll have to have a class dedicated to the aura itself. So thank you, Audra. When you ask about analyzing it for this purpose of today, it would be good to have a more specific question. What is it that you're trying to sort of figure out? Since we've referred to the aura many, many times and talked about it, what is the particular angle that you're trying to deal with? So I see this happens a lot when there may be a high energy purple, and then aftertones, it unleashes the underlying issues. So that's exactly what I was saying. Very, very good. Thank you, Dina. I took the library creation course. It was great. Do you plan on doing a part 2? Who was that from? Vandermeer. Oh, okay, great. That's Agnes. So Agnes, give us some suggestions of what you'd like to see in an advanced library creation course, and would absolutely consider it for sure. Can you show an example of muscle testing? For that, Raina, I would go look online and just Google muscle testing, or Google it on YouTube. It's also called kinesiology. It is where you see if a muscle goes strong or weak during testing, indicating a physiological response to the body. The body is constantly responding to all the energies around it. And if you hold a bottle of supplements close to the body senses the vibration of that supplement. And that's been pretty well studied. When we did the energy medicine course, we talked about the experiments of Dr. Albert. Dr. Albert did experiments to show the vibrational frequencies and how the effects of even supplements affect people. And that was fodder for his radionics work, and also electroacupuncture. According to Voll, Dr. Voll did the same thing and noted the same thing. When he introduced supplements into his circuit, everything changed, even if the person just had the supplement in their pocket. And so you may want to check out the energy medicine course. It's available for download on the website. If you just Google energy medicine course, it's a course that we gave a while back that gives you a background in what energy and vibrational healing is all about. What shifts do you notice in the aura before and after? Why can't we drink the imprinted water of the remedy plate? I don't understand that question. Why would you think you can't drink the imprinted water of the remedy plate? Dina, just let me know that. And then what shifts do you notice in the aura before and after? we sort of talk about that in each and every class about the difference in the aura, that how it changes. So we could talk about it in this class as well. So Andrea says, is the rescue remedy a mix of Bach flowers? It sure is. It wasn't one of the original, it wasn't one of the originals. Let's go ahead with the iodine. Let's go ahead and compare it to the minerals panel and see if there's any correlation in our minerals panel. So what, let's see. It's interesting that iodine doesn't show up super high. It is 615 though. Let's include it and we'll test it in Progressive Insights and we'll get these other minerals in. Remember, all the minerals help you to express your DNA. All the minerals help you to better express your DNA. And if you're planting a garden, you may want to look into sea minerals, and you can look for ocean mineral solutions, which is a wonderful sea ocean water that you can water your plants with. Now, we don't drink that sea water because we actually have a wonderful and mysterious process of transmutation. What inorganic minerals would be like us eating chalk or rocks, but plants take that and they can transmute it into minerals that we can then consume and are good for our body. So it's an interesting sort of process of how much we need the plants to assist us. So Rescue Remedy is a combination of 5 or 6 flower essences that someone discovered is very good for when you're panicked, when you're anxious, when you're overwhelmed. It's often given to animals when they go to the vet. So if you take your dog or your cat to the vet, you can get a glycerin-based rescue remedy, and that's great to just put a drop on their tongue before you take them in the car or have to take them for something that's stressful for them. Can the genius amplify the same frequency, as in rose essential oil, and then adding in the frequency of 357 hertz? Absolutely. There are all different ways to do that. So with rose oil, you could import the energy of rose oil. You could take the rose oil on the remedy plate and imprint 357 hertz into it. There's just all types of ways that you could play with that. You could create a library that is rose essential oil, and it has the imprint, and it also has 357 hertz, and it has all the qualities that you want to evoke out of rose essential oil. There's a lot of different ways to deal with that. Go over the spiritual panel, please. Okay, spiritual panel. What people often want to know from this, we don't talk about the spiritual panel very much. It's sort of what you see is what you get, right? That WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. There isn't too much to talk about. Some people rave about the spiritual protection panel. Some people will start a session and they won't do anything but do a clearing on the spiritual protection, either by running it just on quick balance or by running the reds and blues. The thing about the spiritual protection panel is not to take it so literally. Remember, and I think I probably would change some words on here. I probably would take out dark forces, and I probably would take out psychic attack and entities. But that being said, the fact that they're in here, what we want to consider is that there is nothing in your world that is you have not created in some way. That is really a core concept for this particular panel. If people think that there are people, dark forces, that whatever, it's all over. Dark forces, if you see dark forces, then that means it's time to shift your language. It's time to shift the words that you're saying to yourself, because whatever you're putting out there is sort of attracting a negative vibration. So switch it around. And, chanting invocations is an invitation. Start saying affirmations, start saying positive mantras. Embracing the light, it means it's time to be more intentional about, yes, I want the experience of light in my life. I do want to embrace the light. I want to embrace a greater, higher power in my life. It's an individual decision. The thing that really people get confused about is surround and protect. FTHG, for the highest good. Surround and protect for the highest good. So that's what the FTHG is for. But some people find these frequencies in the spiritual protection panel to be very, very powerful. So try it. try all of your cases or for yourself for the next 7 days and just start off all your sessions with a 5-minute or maybe a 6 or a 9-minute balancing from spiritual protection and see what the difference is. Let's go ahead and include these. Remember that all of these frequencies, they are a secret. The developer won't let us know, but there are many frequencies that go into each one of these. So in auric protection, there's sort of 30 frequencies in here that he has put together and that makes up the auric protection, that one singular line item. Okay, what does it mean when Elaine says, what does it mean when my fingers in my left hand are numbing, especially the left middle finger? You know, that's going to take a very long time to sort of assess and look at. That's going to be quite an extensive thing to look at. But when you're having what's called a paresthesia, that numbness and tingling, you want to think about your neck and maybe look at your spinal energy in the genius in the cervical spine, because often things that are compressed in the neck, all of these nerves that come out from the cervical spine, where you have the bones and then you have these openings called the vertebral foramen, and spinal nerves come from that and they go down into your shoulder, they come down the hand. So if that is locked up for any reason, maybe the way that you slept, you know, stretch the neck, do some yoga stretches, look at the energies on the genius. That is what that's one reason why you could have paresthesias among many, many others that we would need to consider. Okay, so Lugol, maybe 4 drops. You could test 4 drops in synergistics, Shauna, but I certainly can't make that determination. I wouldn't know which amount of drops would be appropriate for you. Okay. And what is the best course of action if you get a low rectification percentage, say 20%? Would it help harmonizing a combination of high, medium items or just rescan? All right, let's look at that. So when you get a low level of rectification, that is inviting you to run the same frequencies again for another minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It's actually not saying to go on and switch things up. It's saying to actually look at, I don't know why that's doing that. It shouldn't be high. There we go. Yeah, just doing the high items. So if we ran these high items for 1 minute and we got a low rectification percentage, the invitation, Andrea, would be to run the same frequencies for another minute. Now, if you continue to get a low rectification percentage, or if you're trying to get a higher one and it actually goes lower, then that is the indication to, yes, you could go back into the genius and you could pick up other frequencies and put them into the mix. You don't always have to use the rescan. So if you didn't imagine the rescan didn't exist, you could actually just go out, get other frequencies and see what you need to add in order to get the rectification higher. You don't need to go beyond 40%, but you want to, you know, try to get to 40%. But if you're not getting high rectification percentages, that person may need to drink some water or get some electrolytes into their system. So it's not that just the genius or the frequencies that you've chosen. Monica says, should we be using the wrist attachment to boost our sessions? I don't know what the purpose of that question exactly is, but the wrist attachment does not have the express purpose of boosting sessions. The wrist what the wrist attachment does is it allows the person to have a physical connection to the frequencies, the wristbands. Now, the wristbands just typically, as an actual accessory, have not been taken up with a huge amount of favor because we're a wireless world. We're walking around, we're busy, we're getting our frequencies as we're doing something else, or we're sending them primarily remotely. In addition, the sound component of the genius is incredibly meaningful, and listening for the frequencies through a good set of headphones where you have that left and right feedback in stereo is one of the best ways to receive the genius because it interacts with both hemispheres of the brain and the central nervous system. So the audio, we just don't have it here because we can have a little bit of it. So that audio part of the genius is so deeply significant. Now, again, if this were an actual session, we would be playing it out loud for the client just for the purpose of teaching. It becomes a little bit distracting, but let's crank it so we can hear it. So we want that right into the headphones, and the wristbands, they're unidirectional, I mean, they only work from the genius to the person. They're not picking up information and working from the person to the genius for assessment purposes. Some people love the wristbands, but they are in no means an amplifier of the session. Homeopathic graphene oxide is available to take orally. Would it work to create a library to run on the Genius, or does this remedy need to be physically taken? You know, that's information we still don't really know the answer to. But as a practice, we have imported homeopathic remedies of all types. So I encourage you to give it a try, and you can also test it that way. All right. So there's no way to take those out. My clients love it. My clients love when I balance them. I'm not sure what that was, Werner. I kind of missed the conversation there. Let's go ahead and do a quick rescan here. I consider the spiritual panels to be a reflection of your thought forms. Yeah, that's a good way of saying it, Sherry. Thank you. So is there only one frequency applied to the spiritual protection topic? Rachel, I need a little bit more information. I'm not sure what the question is there. What does protective jewelry mean, that you need them? So it's actually just a suggestion. I'm going to need to turn that sound down again. It's actually just a recommendation that protective jewelry is, so if it says protective jewelry, it's suggesting to you that they would benefit from either things like obsidian, tiger's eye, some type of health beneficial gemstone, or that you could take or you could take those gemstones and imprint them with frequencies. So that would provide that type of protection. Again, don't take any of these so at their face value, sort of try to dissect them so in so much detail, or take them that seriously. I don't personally use the spiritual protection, but again, some people love it and they find it to be very powerful. But that's what protective jewelry is, suggests that maybe they wear something on there that's been imprinted or in and of itself has special frequencies. Now I want to pause here. We only got to 24% rectification. So the idea here is to play the same set of frequencies again. It's really interesting that this 852 came up, because that is actually a recommendation for mustard. Within the success cards, if you go to mustard, it actually says to consider running 852, about connecting with this feeling that everything is in order, that everything has a spiritual order. Have faith, everything will be able to be worked out in some way. All right, so we did synergistics. If you notice dark energy being directed at you, put your protective rose of energy and be amused. Not a problem. Yeah, that's a really great point. Just put the energetic roses around yourself for protection. What if I always reach rectification? We'll go a little bit over time today. If you need to jump off the call, maybe just catch us on YouTube or watch the rest of it on YouTube a bit later. What if I always reach rectification in 1 minute? Is that still as good? Absolutely. If you watch the podcast that we did with Kelly Huggett, a longtime user of the Genius, she says sometimes she only needs to run the Genius for 30 seconds because she's so busy. And then she retests synergistics. So when she tests synergistics, if they need something, then all the circles fill in. And the circles not filling in after running the frequencies is a way that she has tested that her balancing has been successful. So when they need something, all the circles fill up. When they don't no longer need it, then the circles do not fill up in synergistics. And that's her test. She's so busy, sometimes she only has 30%. She only has 30 seconds to run the frequencies. Now we notice down here that the rectification percentage went to 51%. And so Andrea, that's sorry, who asked that? Rachel. So that's an example. Was it Andrea? Or, no, it was Andrea. So it was an example of moving from 24% to 51% by continuing to run the same frequencies for another minute. Now at 51%, we could either add in different frequencies or we could just do another rescan. So let's see what comes up to the top. Functional zones help to clarify. So yes, we probably won't get to all of your questions because we've got a lot going on in the chat right now, but let's go a little bit extra time. We'll answer some more of them. But I really want to talk about the functional zones. So we have a handout on functional zones. So maybe somebody can repost it now. Just repost that link to the functional zones. And then we're going to talk about them. So my goodness, where is my functional zones guide here? So I'm going to have to actually maybe just grab the one right from the beginning. So if you've been on here, you can usually go back into the chat and see that there they are. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the functional zones, and then we'll just wrap up class for today. So if I didn't answer your question and it's an important one, then please send it to me, Ariel@geniusbiofeedback.com, and I'll definitely consider having that question as something we talk about in a future topic or something that I cover in the next class. So I really appreciate you guys bringing it with your great chat and all of your great questions. We have such an active and curious community. I love it. People are enthusiastic and passionate about what they're doing with the Genius. All right. So the functional zones are a way to further find root cause for something. My beef with them has always been that the wonderful creator of the functional zones, which is Garnet Dupuis, really brilliant man, he never really gave us a good understanding of them. So I've tried to take what the developer and Garnet told us about the functional zones and put them in this guide, and I will try to elucidate as much as possible what these might be saying. But the best thing to do is to maybe bug the developer. We need more information about the functional zones to make them more meaningful. So let's go ahead and let's learn more about the root cause of liver stress. So she's got liver stress. Let's go ahead and learn more about it. What we're going to do is we're going to tap on the left check mark, which we don't usually utilize. And we're going to go to functional zone considerations by tapping right here at functional zone considerations. It will do a scan of the 7 functional zones, which are psychogenic, immune, biochemical, tissue regulation, microorganism, geophysical, and interference. Once we get the functional zones, it tells us that the highest one related to the liver is the immune zone. So immediately we have some information, sort of like an entangled insights, that some of the root cause, something that's out of balance with her liver, is affecting her immune system. And also, because we're checking for causation, something related to the immune system or a challenge with the immune system may be affecting her liver. So this, that's more of what we're trying to get here is root cause, but it sort of goes in both directions. So now that we know the immune zone is related to the liver, we can tap one time. Let me just see if I can get the spotlight to come up here. We can tap one time on the immune zone to get further hints about what that issue is about the immune system. So let's go ahead and tap on it, and it gives us additional hints. It's just that the hints themselves, I don't find them to be that helpful if we have further information about what he utilized in this. So it says an organ change stress evaluation. Now, apparently taking this actually gives you some additional frequencies. And so it tells us organ change. I don't know how that's helpful. Something about the organ is change means it needs to be harmonized. And then we don't look so much at the autoimmune stress. We can also include this. Let's do another one quickly. Let's go to cardiovascular. Now it's going to ask us to retest. Let me see if what comes up at the top here. Oh, please forgive me. So just that Ho'oponopono information. That's interesting. The hurricane information keeps coming up. I just wanted to see if there's something else here. So there's cardiovascular right there, still high. So let's do it one more time. Cardiovascular left check mark to functional zones. Let's see if there's a different assessment for cardiovascular versus the liver. And let's see what comes up. And then we'll sort of tie it all up in a bow. And if your question was a burning question, wow, that's actually interesting because it comes up with immune zone again. Isn't that fascinating? Let's do a third test on some system and see if the immune zone. Okay, so what does it mean? Maybe focus more on your immune system. Maybe all the things herbs practices, castor oil pack, hot and cold showers, hot and cold soaks, rebounding, all the things for the immune system, ashwagandha, echinacea, Oregon grapefruit, grapefruit seed extract, all of those things. And saying vaccine stress evaluation, it might not be the V that we all talk about, but it might be an earlier one, right? Everybody, unfortunately, got probably some of those along the lines, maybe not everyone. But what we want to do is let's just do one more analysis here. And I'm just curious what system comes up. So circulatory comes up, gallbladder. Let's look at gallbladder. Are all these medium now? Let's see what's high. A cardiovascular came up again high, but let's actually check the lymphatic system. A third system. And let's see when we go to, let's go one more time to functional zones. Well, lymphatic is sort of related to the immune system. Where was that bladder? Let's see if that gives us a different, let me just see if I can find it quickly. You know what, let's do the eyes just because it's super available. So when we scan the eyes for functional zone, what is the root cause here for functional zones? What functional zone do we get related to the eyes? And let's see if different, because we got 2 immune stress evaluations. Let's go ahead and at the final, now we don't get anything. We get microorganisms, sort of 682, geophysical zone. So that's going to be geopathic stress. So actually microorganisms is kind of interesting, but let's do the spleen just to see if we can get just something a little bit more meaningful. So with we want to get like a red or a blue. So let's see if the 7 functional zones, is there something that comes out red before we sort of conclude our conversation here? Okay, better. Okay, tissue regulation zone. So something with the tissue itself. And remember, when you're trying to get the tissue to restore to full frequency, you could use 285 hertz. So you may want to make a note somewhere. Oh, I want to add 285 hertz into her mix here. We probably added all the solfeggios already. So then we're going to tap on this. So this is going to have to do with the biochemistry, the quality of the tissue of the spleen. And then we get 2 more hints, which is going to be cystic process stress, benign tumor stress, pre-degeneration stress, pre-degeneration 2 stress, stress organic. You know, I couldn't tell you what these mean. You know, I'm sure that everybody here could wax poetic about their own interpretation, which is fine. But unless we know from Garnett, apparently there's a bunch of homeopathic remedies that are in this pre-degeneration level 2 stress, as if you had a test kit at home. I believe these may have been inspired by some type of company's stress kit, testing kit. And so that's where he came up with this. But let's go ahead and let's go back here and see if any of these come up at the high level of prioritization. And so you want to see if you've added in here, there's the immune zone. So I think we can conclude from that the immune zone was pretty important, that she just needs to keep working on different aspects of the immune system for her, you know, for her, that's just like sort of a takeaway message for her. All right, we're going to just do one final minute so that we can just check the ending aura in that final minute. Let's go ahead. We got a lot of messages. All right, so thank you again for, okay, so she says she didn't get the J word or the V word. So, but that could be a past thing, or it could be what Karen McDonald talks a lot about, which is that contact vaccinosis. Okay, so how long do the imprinted frequencies last on the wristband? Probably a good 3 to 6 months. People report that wearing them, you know, but I mean, if you gave it to someone, probably the purposeful use of that, of a silicone wristband that's imprinted is probably like a month. And then you want them to come back for a new topic, get a new wristband. You know, they're sort of, you know, disposable, and you want them to use it maybe for a short amount of time, not sort of forever. So even though they last 3 to 6 months, that really might be most useful for 1 month. It's sort of, it is charged up at the highest level the moment that you put the frequencies in there. Margaret says, I've also found that when protective jewelry shows blue, their stones and jewelry need to be cleansed. Oh yeah, so they need to be cleared. You could use the green laser or salt bath for something like that. And let's see what her ending aura is here. All right, so, okay, so I think actually added a lot. We answered a lot of the different questions. Yeah. I imprint water drops. Wow, look at that from running those functional zones. Isn't that incredible? So that actually, that's a really good way to sort of wind things up. So let's see where her aura was and where it sort of traveled to. And so we started here. And then it went to here. Sorry, we have a synergistics in here. And here's where we ended up. That's so beautiful and really well done. Shauna, thank you so much. I'm glad that you were part of our class today. I'm not going to the wrong place here. I'm really grateful that you were part of our class today. And thank you so very much. And thanks to everyone. And so this was a Q&A for today, also talking about some of the features of the Genius. If you had additional questions, send them to me. And next week, we're going to be talking about all things remedy plate, particularly the different types of remedy plates. We'll talk about that, the torus coil. We'll talk about that. And we'll also be talking about what to imprint. So I'll be talking about a whole bunch of different media, and I'll be presenting it and showing it. So to that end, if you have questions about the remedy plate that you want me to answer in that class next Monday, please send them to me, Ariel@geniusbiofeedback.com, and we'll start to collect them and make sure we answer them during class. So all those juicy questions that everything you've wanted to know about your remedy plate, we'll cover them in the next training. Thanks so much for being part of our Genius community and for your excellent questions today. They were fabulous. Have a great day, everyone. Take care. Be well. Bye-bye for now.